Okay, we're going to do some 2.5 review problems. Our first problem is solve the inequality 4x minus 5 less than 9 and write the answer with set builder notation. Now this is a linear inequality and it can be solved using the same methods we used for solving equations. Just isolate x on one side of that inequality sign. So we add 5 to both sides of the inequality, giving us 4x less than 14. Then divide both sides by 4, and that gives us x less than 14 fourths, or we could write that as x less than 7 halves. Now the set builder notation is just curly bracket x such that x is less than 7 halves, and we're assuming these are all real numbers, so we don't have to write comma x is a member of the real numbers. That's just assumed when it's left out. Okay, our next problem we're going to look at is a very similar problem. Solve negative 3x plus 1 greater than 7 and write the answer with set builder notation again. Now the difference is here we're going to divide by a negative. And whenever you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative, you switch the direction of that inequality sign. So see if you can solve this and write the answer in set builder notation. So here we subtract 1 from both sides, giving us negative 3x greater than 6. Then divide both sides by negative 3, and here's where we switch that inequality sign. So we get x less than 6 divided by negative 3, which is negative 2. So our set builder is just curly bracket x such that, the vertical line means such that x is less than negative 2. Okay, our next problem is another inequality. Solve 2 times the quantity x minus 2 greater than or equal to 4 and write the answer using interval notation. So you're going to solve it like the related equation. Use the distributive property. Get x all alone on one side. So why don't you pause the tape and try solving this. And then once you get the answer, see if you remember how to do put this answer in interval notation. So here we first distribute 2 times x, 2 times negative 2 gives us 2x minus 4 greater than or equal to 4. Add 4 to both sides, 2x greater than or equal to 8. Then divide both sides by 2. And we get x greater than or equal to 4. And that interval notation, the interval starts at 4, includes 4, so we have a square bracket 4. The interval goes on to infinity, so we have comma infinity. So that's our interval notation answer. Okay, in our next problem, solve the inequality 2 times the quantity x minus 3 greater than or equal to 4 times the quantity x plus 1. Graph the solution and give the interval notation of the solution. So here we're solving it like the equation 2 times x minus 3 quantity equals 4 times the quantity x plus 1. So you're going to use a distributive property, isolate all the x's on one side, the numbers on the other, and solve. And then graph that solution and then give interval notation. Okay, so we start out by distributing. That would be your first step no matter how you're doing this. And you get 2x minus 6 greater than or equal to 4x plus 4. Now you have a bunch of different options here as to how to solve it. You may have done it different, but if you've done everything correctly, we should get the same answer. In my case, I subtracted 2x from both sides. to give me negative 6 greater than or equal to 2x plus 4. And then I subtracted 4 from both sides. And that gave me negative 10 greater than or equal to 2x. And then divide both sides by 2. That gave me negative 5 greater than or equal to x. Now, you may have put all the x's on the left, and you would have gotten negative 2 x greater than or equal to positive 10. All right? But then when you divide both sides by negative 2, x is less than or equal to negative 5 when you do the switch, because we divided both sides by negative 2. Okay, going back to this analogy. If your sister is taller than you, then you are shorter than your sister. So you can always rewrite a greater than or equal to as a less than just by switching the two. Okay, so now we can graph that solution. So on our number line, the solution starts at negative 5, including negative 5, goes out to negative infinity. So we use the square bracket at negative 5, and so then we would write that answer in interval notation. Negative infinity is our left endpoint, since there is none, and then negative 5 is our right endpoint with the square bracket. Okay, our next problem isn't an inequality, but there were a lot of review problems in this section, so I thought I'd do one or two of them. This is a medicine problem. If 200 milligrams of medicine are required for a patient weighing 150 pounds, how much medicine is required for a person weighing 70 pounds? And we're assuming that the medicine is proportional to the weight, so set up the proportion and see if you can solve this. So the proportion you get, 200 milligrams medicine per 150 pounds equals X milligrams of medicine per 70 pounds. And that's our correct proportion. Now it's true only if the cross products are equal. So we multiply the cross products and solve the equation. So when we cross multiply, we have 200 times 70 equals 150 times x. 14,000 equals 150x. Divide both sides by 150. We get x equal 14,000 divided by 150, or 93 rounded off to the nearest milligram. Now, it's important in these kind of problems, especially if you're working as an RN, that you just look at your answer. Does it make sense? The 70-pound person is a little less than half the weight, so you would expect a little less than half of 200. 93 is a little bit less than half. 9.3 would not be less than half. 930 would not be less than half. So as you do these kind of problems in a job situation, check for reasonableness of the answer. Kind of estimate what the answer should be close to, so that when you do your calculation, it comes out to something like that. Just in case you leave out a 0 or move the decimal point somehow. Okay, next problem. Another review problem. 42 out of 25 is what percent? Now remember, the out of problems, like 1 out of 2 is a half. 1 out of 3 is a third. 42 out of 25 is 42 25ths. That word out of means divide. 42 divided by 25. So we divide those results and get a decimal. And when you divide them, you get the decimal 1.68. But that's not 1.68%. Turned into a percent, that's 168%. Okay, and one last review problem. 1/3 x minus 1/4 equals 7/16. Solve for x. So here we have some fractions to deal with, but we can solve this. So pause the video and try this on your own. Okay, so first thing, add 1/4 to both sides. But to combine 1/4 with 7/16, we need a common denominator, which happens to be 16. So you have to multiply the 1/4 by 4/4. Then you can combine 7/16 plus 4/16 makes 11/16. So then you have your equation 1/3 x equal 11/16. And we can solve it either by dividing both sides by 1/3 or simply multiplying both sides by 3/1, which is what you would do if you divided both sides by 1/3 anyway. And then we multiply the fractions. We get 11 times 3 is 33/16. So 33/16, or you could write that as 2 1/16 if you really wanted to, or leave it as is. Okay, well that's it for the 2.5 review.